Imagine spending hours upon hours every day for months drawing frame by frame a cartoon on Microsoft Paint. Nah, that's just silly. No one would do that. I mean, you'd have to totally be dedicated to the art of your craft, man. Only a well-financed studio would be able to do something so drastic and immense as a project that they're committed to for so long like that. Well, dude, 3 guys from Eastern Australia do that every day.
What are you talking about?
Honestly, The Big Les Show is a pure example of art. So let's begin as an origin story, shall we? The origins of this online sensation's creation began with a group of friends who explored their creativity through the rather relatable boredom of the regular old school class room. Important time that should have been dedicated to perhaps understanding economic theories or algebra in mathematics was instead wasted doing doodles and drawings in their school exercise books that simply gave the creators a good laugh to pass the time in their classes. More and more comic book style characters found themselves drawn across the makers' blank page school books. This eventuated into actual comic strips that they just shared with each other. The cartoon drawings eventually evolved into simplistic animated shorts that the creators made on Microsoft Paint.
Quinnen's giving me shit.
Fuck you, dude. Shut up!
From there, as the popularity of the series grew, lengthier durations and more concrete, fully fleshed storylines manifested themselves. Their ability to actually use Microsoft Paint came through a government program that saw a strong vein of Australian students receive a laptop that was designed to be used as a learning tool. Whatever that means. I know most of these laptops were not used for learning. Case in point, The Big Les Show. But there's a lovely example of a government initiative actually working, and we've gained a cult hit. Hit?
What are you talking about?
We've gained a cult hit because of a reasonable initiative. Huh. But let's not delve into politics too much. Nevertheless, that program is definitely part of the reason we have such an influential series that has begun to tangibly deliver an important development in the motionless cultural identity of Australians, where mateship, arguably the most integral part of the Australian identity, has begun to drift away. I speak of this sort of national stagnancy with simply anecdotal evidence to begin with, because I can't be fucked doing real research. This is an opinion piece, alright, bitch? Therefore, speaking from personal experience, in the past decade I believe a real, and let me re-emphasize, real togetherness has been lost by the broad population of Australia. After the Second World War, there was a national shift in mindset towards favouring the United States as Australia's closest ally. Before this change, Great Britain was considered to be the state that aligned itself the most significantly with the Australian way of life. And since this shift, Australia as a whole has grown to romanticise the American system of living. Yet across the board, Australia's general populace holds a significantly better standard of living than Americans. Again, to re-emphasize, in my opinion, I think this romanticism has seen a dissolving of Australia's uniqueness, something that every country should aspire to, right? I mean, seriously, this country is a literal paradise for the most part. There is little to no conflict, high standards of living, diverse natural wonder, and just simply exquisiteness. So let's begin to tie the show back into my own little personal rant there, shall we? It has been many years since these characters were first conceived, and since the days of misused time in the classroom, Tom Hollis, Jared Wright, and Isaac Weir, the creators of this fictional universe, have seen their characters gain a massive worldwide following. The Big Les Show grabs millions of views each episode and has reached the capacity to be the full-time job of its creators. Now that's a fantastic story in itself. The creative and imaginative knack of these 3 friends has led to their passion manifesting itself into a career for each of them that they would surely love. I mean, that's the goal of a lot of people, right? Let's cross to Anthony Mendenson, a prolific expert at analysing anything, and I mean absolutely anything that needs to be analysed. Tony, it's all yours, mate.
Yep, we'll just come my jacket.
Oh, you're over here? What? Where are you? Alright, I'm supposed to cross to him. Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, that's for sure.
Excellent. She's all yours.
Well, it's exquisite.
That's all you have to say?
Yes.
Right, well, that was a rather unnecessary portion of this video.
Could I please have a stirred, not shaken martini? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want a stirred, not shaken.
Can we cut that? No? Why's that? It adds a different dynamic to a regular video essay type of thing, and me just seemingly repeating everything that whoever I'm talking to through this invisible earpiece just adds to the strange fluidity of the video? Right. Okay, well that was a bit odd. Let's delve into the show's material a little more. Leslie Mackerel, commonly known as Les, is joined each episode by friends that include arguably higher being Sasquatches that function through a gross intake of drugs. The human equivalent of this consumption of narcotics would just be regular food. As well as Mike Nolan, a middle-aged bloke whom fans of the show would agree to be the archetypical Australian tradie, a nickname given to members of the Australian blue-collar workforce.
I do all sorts of work, you know, like postie driver, construction worker, bricklayer, build a fucking bus stop here and there, lollipop man. Do you know how much a fucking lollipop man racks in? Shitloads, cunt.
Additional characters such as Clarence, an unfortunate case of the classic experiment gone wrong cliche, gravitates what is objectively all the hate and disgust the main characters hold to himself, which is similar to a further character known as Norton, whom largely performs as the antagonist of our main character Les for a long period of the show. Now, the popularity of the Big Les show is incredibly obvious when you contrast it with the characters that the creators have developed. Mike Nolan in particular is a perfect example of what makes this show great and holds to that aforementioned notion. The character's hilarious conversationing with other characters often promptly diverges into constant yeah nahs and not too bads.
Oh yeah, nah. Mate, listen.
Forms of Australian slang that haven't ever really been expressed so artistically before the Big Les show. The creators of the show are able to convey a near definition demonstration of observational humor, a comedy technique that focuses on making fun of everyday aspects of life.
Yeah, mate, yeah. How's it been going? Yeah, mate.
Oh, yeah, down the fucking here, I should have fucking seen it, mate. You fucking sold on the fucking Broncos, and down the fucking 2BN, fucking $400, mate.
You're fucking kidding.
It really is so clear the inventors of Big Les have had personal experiences with this kind of conversation in real life, and clearly fans share similar, relatable experiences. Otherwise, the show wouldn't be the hit it is. I personally once discussed this show with a co-worker of mine who was maybe 40 years old, and he was talking to me about how funny he found the show because he knew someone that spoke exactly like that, which is fascinating. This show has the capacity to connect younger people with elderly citizens of Australia savvy enough to direct themselves around the internet. As the series has progressed, the themes and message of the show has too. During an epic hour-long season finale of the show, its audience is challenged to view the world more openly. In one situation, our protagonist Les appears to be extrapolated from what he had believed to be his reality, and then proceeds to view the creation of what might be a whole new dimension. Sassy, the main Sasquatch of the show, comes into existence in this dimension, and the two have a rather spiritual and togetherness-toned conversation. It is obvious that through the story of Big Les, the creators wish to express their own individual view of the world we share. And now that's art! Which brings me to the crux of why I find this show so fantastic. It's a rare yet growing breed of Australian storytelling that is planting the seeds for more open ways of thinking to what I argue to be a rather disenfranchised populace of mainly young Australians. We live in an extraordinarily rapidly changing technological world that previous generations never experienced from a child's age. The last time we saw such drastic change in the way things are simply done was the Industrial Revolution, a period in human history that's over 200 years old. That was a long time ago, man. There's like 100 billion years ago. And there's constant attempts by the creators to express their own individualistic views of not only the world, but Australian society. And it does this so well because of one freaking reason. That reason is that the story and characters are given the most care out of anything within the show. Through its characters, the show is able to express its ideas with pure integrity and tell its truth. Again, through those characters. Because they're so well designed and relatable that you feel and understand their points of view. And if you've done that with a character, A fucking plus. Simply through well-crafted dialogue and nothing else, the creators really challenge current power structures within society that are arguably holding the human species back. I mean, come on, we haven't been to the moon in 45 years. What the heck? What have we been doing? However, saying all of that, the show isn't always super serious. In fact, most of the time it's not super serious at all. It is a hilariously entertaining adventure full of comedic genius. The dry, crass and irreverent nature of Australian humour is elegantly on display through The Big Les Show. From imaginatively absurd, drug-induced psychedelic experiences to the artful accentuation of real-life Aussie small talk, The Big Les Show will stand the test of time as a tangible cultural pillar of a new age emergence of Australian national identity.
Just do good things and good things will happen to you, mate. So how do I do it? How do I turn my dreams into reality? What's the first thing anyone does before they start their day? You wake up,